out of boredom, out of like low self-esteem, like trying to find some comfort somewhere.
Right.
So I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And I was on methadone, so I kept doing it until I overrated methadone.
In other news, people living at 2 homeless camps in Philadelphia have just hours to pack up and move. The city issued an eviction notice effective 9 a.m. this morning, but not all city leaders support the move. Eyewitness News reporter Howard Monroe is live along the Ben Franklin Parkway with the very latest. Good morning, Howard.
It starts with a truth that feels uncomfortable to say out loud. There are neighborhoods in America where everything has a price. Not just food, not just rent, not just gasoline. Everything. A safe corner, a warm seat, a bathroom, a phone charge, a blanket, a ride, a quiet place to rest your eyes for 10 minutes without being shaken awake. And if you have never seen the street economy up close, you might assume the price is money. But in Kensington, Philadelphia, there are nights when money is the smallest currency. Because when survival becomes urgent, people pay with what they have. A cigarette, a jacket, a promise, a favor, a secret, and sometimes they pay with their bodies. Let me be clear before we go any further. This episode is not explicit. We will not describe graphic situations. We will not sensationalize exploitation. We will not give instructions for wrongdoing. We are going to talk about a system of bargains that forms when housing is scarce, treatment is fragmented, and fentanyl turns time into an emergency. Stay with me, because once you understand how a bargain economy forms, you will never look at Kensington the same way again. This is Homeless Lens, and today, we're stepping into a reality most people only talk about in headlines. The neighborhood of bargains, drugs, a place to sleep, and a body. Welcome to Homeless Lens. This channel documents homelessness with dignity, not disgust. We focus on systems, street survival, and human stories most people scroll past. We do not show graphic content. We do not glamorize harm. We do not turn suffering into entertainment. We tell the truth carefully, because real people live inside these stories. If you're new here, subscribe. Not for drama, for truth. Because what you're about to hear isn't a simple story of bad choices. It's a story about scarcity, and what scarcity does to human beings. In the next 6 parts, we're going to break down how a bargain neighborhood is built, who profits from it, who pays the highest price, and what actually breaks the cycle. Let's begin. Part 1. The street market nobody wants to name. Kensington is often described in one word, drugs. But that word is too small, because what happens here isn't only about substances. It's about scarcity. Scarcity creates markets. When people lack housing and stability, a new kind of marketplace forms, one that trades in survival. Think about what a normal day requires. A bed to sleep in, a bathroom you can use without fear, a place to wash your hands, a place to sit when your knees hurt, a phone charger, a glass of water, a quiet corner when your brain is overloaded. Most people have those things and never think about them. But if you don't have them, your entire day becomes a search, not for success, for basics. A person needs to sleep, but there's no bed. A person needs to stay warm, but there's no heat. A person needs a bathroom, but the doors are locked. A person needs treatment, but there's a wait list. A person needs rest, but rest outside can be dangerous. So the street fills the gap, not with safe solutions, with bargains. In Kensington, the market doesn't look like a store. It looks like whispers, routines, short conversations that end quickly. People scanning each other's faces for opportunity or danger. Who has a couch for one night? Who has a ride? Who has food? Who has a hookup? Who has a blanket? Who has something that will stop withdrawal? But behind all those questions is one truth that drives everything. When the body is desperate, time shrinks. A person doesn't think, what will my life look like next year? They think, how do I get through the next hour? That urgency turns people into customers of any offer that promises relief. And that's where the bargain economy becomes dangerous, because the most valuable products in this market are not sold at stores. Safety, privacy, relief from withdrawal, a locked door, a place to sleep without fear. Those things are scarce, and scarcity creates power. Power is not always loud. Sometimes power is simply having what someone else needs. A warm car, a motel room, a spare couch, a connection to resources, a steady supply of anything that can numb pain. When people say, why would someone stay in a place like Kensington? Part of the answer is that leaving costs money, strength, time, and safety, things many people don't have. And when a place becomes the center of a survival economy, it can trap people not by chains, but by lack of exits. To understand the bargain neighborhood, you have to understand what people trade. Because in a survival market, the currency isn't always cash. Which brings us to part 2. Part 2. Currencies of survival. What people trade when they have nothing. When the public thinks about poverty, they imagine a lack of money. But homelessness is more than a lack of cash. It is a lack of options. So people trade whatever they still control. Small items become valuable in a way that surprises outsiders. A cigarette can be a unit of negotiation. A working lighter can open conversations. Bottled water becomes precious on hot days and during sickness. Hand warmers become life-saving in winter. A phone charger becomes a lifeline, because a dead phone means you can't reach anyone, can't confirm an appointment, can't call a shelter, can't do anything that requires connection. A pair of dry socks can be worth more than a meal, because wet feet can become infection, and infection can become emergency. Information becomes currency too. A warning about a sweep, a tip about a food distribution schedule, a safe route through dangerous blocks, a rumor about which clinic is actually taking walk-ins. On the street, knowing something first can mean staying alive. But then there are bigger currencies: time, company, labor, watching someone's belongings while they run to a clinic, standing guard while someone sleeps for 20 minutes, helping someone carry a bag when their back is injured, cleaning a space to earn a spot out of the wind, fixing a bike, moving supplies, doing little jobs that don't show up on paper but keep people afloat. These trades often look informal, even friendly, and sometimes they are, because many people on the street help each other. That deserves to be said clearly. Not everyone is a predator. Not most people. There is community. There is care. There are people who share what little they have. But the bargain economy also has another side. Because in any economy, scarcity invites exploitation. And yes, sometimes sexual exploitation becomes part of the survival market. We are not going to be explicit. We are not going to describe graphic situations. But we can name the reality responsibly. When someone has access to a room, heat, substances, or protection, and another person is desperate, that power imbalance can turn offers into coercion. This is not about judging people on the street. It is about understanding leverage. Because in a normal life, if someone makes you uncomfortable, you leave. You go home. You lock your door. You call a friend. You get in your car. You walk into a well-lit building. On the street, leaving can mean something else. No warmth, no protection, no place to sleep, withdrawal in the cold, being alone in a dangerous hour. So the bargain is not equal. It's survival under pressure, and pressure is what predators use. Predators do not always need violence when they have leverage. They do not always need threats when scarcity itself is the threat. They just need one thing: a person with no options. Now, here is a key point that matters. We are not saying every exchange is exploitation. We are not saying people experiencing homelessness cannot have agency or relationships. We are saying that in a bargain neighborhood, the line between choice and coercion can blur, especially when survival is on the line. And that blur is one of the reasons the problem stays hidden. Because outsiders see a person walking into a car or a room and assume they chose it. But the street doesn't always offer real choices. Sometimes it offers only different forms of danger. Now, this economy becomes even more intense under one force that changes everything. Fentanyl, Part 3. Part 3, Fentanyl, the clock that forces bad deals. Fentanyl changes the pace of the street. It sharpens urgency. It turns time into a weapon. When someone is dependent, withdrawal can feel unbearable. And on the street, withdrawal is not experienced on a couch with water and privacy. It's experienced outside, in cold air, in wet clothing, with fear, with strangers nearby, with nowhere to vomit or rest without being exposed. So time shrinks, and when time shrinks, people accept risks now to avoid suffering now. That's why fentanyl doesn't only create addiction. It creates bargaining power for whoever controls access to relief. And that is a dangerous kind of power, because it turns basic human vulnerability into currency. Now, we need to talk about this carefully. This is not about demonizing people who use substances. This is not about pretending addiction is simple. Addiction is often connected to trauma, pain, mental health struggles, and a lack of stability. But fentanyl has made the street reality more unpredictable and more deadly. And unpredictability increases fear. Fear increases urgency. Urgency increases risky bargains. This is why you see patterns that look irrational from the outside. Why would someone go back to someone harmful? Why would someone accept a dangerous offer? Why would someone trade something precious for something temporary? Because the street does not operate on long-term logic. It operates on emergency logic, and fentanyl makes everything feel like an emergency. Let's paint a non-graphic, realistic picture. Imagine someone who has been trying to stay clean for a few days. They are tired. They are hungry. They have not slept safely. They are shaking from anxiety and cold. They tell themselves, "I'm done. I'm getting help." Then their body starts to crash. The panic rises. They can't stop thinking about relief. A person approaches with an offer. Not a clinic, not a caseworker, not a real support system, just a shortcut. The shortcut is not safe, but it's immediate. And when you live in emergency logic, immediate can win over safe. That's how fentanyl acts like a clock, ticking, louder, faster, pushing people toward deals they may hate themselves for later. And self-hatred doesn't fix addiction. Self-hatred fuels it. So the bargain neighborhood intensifies. More deals, more pressure, more risk, more harm. Now, we have to ask, who pays the highest price? Because in every market, there are winners and losers. In the street market, the losers are often the people with the least protection. Part 4. Part 4. Who pays? The most vulnerable bodies in the bargain neighborhood. In any economy, some people profit, and some people pay. In the street economy, the people who pay the most are often those with the most vulnerability. Women trying to sleep safely, LGBTQ individuals, especially trans people, young people without support, people with untreated mental illness, people new to the street who don't know the rules yet, people who are isolated, no friends, no family, no one checking on them. Why? Because predators don't target strength, they target vulnerability. And vulnerability is not just physical, it is social. If you have no one to call, you are easier to exploit. If you have no safe place to go, you are easier to pressure. If you are sick or withdrawing, you are easier to manipulate. At night, the bargain economy becomes even more intense. Because nighttime shrinks options further. Fewer open doors, fewer buses, fewer clinics, fewer safe spaces, fewer people around who might intervene. The value of a locked door rises, and when the value rises, the price becomes harsher. Now, we have to say something important again. Most people experiencing homelessness are not predators. Many people protect each other. They share food. They carry naloxone. They warn each other about dangerous individuals. They walk each other to safer spots. They share chargers. They share information. There is community. But community cannot fully protect someone in a system built on scarcity, because scarcity keeps the market alive. And scarcity is not an accident. It is connected to housing costs, to shortages of affordable housing, to gaps in healthcare access, to treatment systems that require stability before offering stability, to policies that punish poverty instead of reducing it. Now, let's slow down and zoom in on one moment. Imagine a person who has been outside for weeks. They are exhausted. Their shoes are worn. Their hands are raw from cold. They finally find a place to sit. A bench would be ideal, but benches often have dividers now. A building doorway might be dry, but security will chase them. A train station might be warm, but they'll be moved along. So they sit where they can. Then someone offers something. Not necessarily money, not necessarily kindness. Something that sounds like a solution. And the person weighs it quickly. If I say no, what happens? If I say yes, what happens? That's the bargain neighborhood. Constant calculation. Now, here is the part many viewers struggle with. They want to know who to blame. They want a villain in one body. But the bargain neighborhood is bigger than one person. Yes, there are individuals who exploit others. Yes, there are predators. They are responsible for their actions. But predators thrive because the conditions allow it. If everyone had housing, predators would lose leverage. If treatment was accessible and stable, urgency would drop. If safe shelters existed, fewer people would be forced into dangerous deals. So the bargain neighborhood is a system outcome. And as long as the alternatives are too few, the market persists. That's part 5. Part 5. Why the bargain economy persists. Because the alternatives are too few. If the street economy is so brutal, why does it keep going? Because people still need things that society treats like privileges. A place to sleep, a bathroom, health care, treatment, safety, relief. And when formal systems don't meet those needs consistently, the street fills the gap. Think about it like this. If there are not enough beds, people will create beds out of cardboard. If there are not enough bathrooms, people will be forced into humiliating situations. If there are not enough treatment options, people will find relief in dangerous ways. The bargain economy is a symptom of unmet needs, and it is reinforced by fragmentation. A person might get a meal but no shelter, a shelter bed but no storage, a detox referral but no transportation, a clinic appointment but no phone to confirm it, a housing application but no ID, an ID appointment but no way to keep the documents safe. So people fall back into the street economy because it is immediate. Immediate is not safe, but immediate is available. And availability matters when your life is an emergency. Now, what does the public often demand? Enforcement. Move people along. Clear camps. Increase patrols. Arrest dealers. Make it go away. Enforcement can matter in certain ways, but enforcement alone doesn't create housing. It doesn't create treatment beds. It doesn't create safe shelter. It doesn't create bathrooms. It doesn't create medical care. It doesn't create stability. So what happens? The market moves, the bargains continue, and the suffering becomes more hidden, not less real. That's why some people say, I don't see it as much anymore, and assume progress. But sometimes, less visible just means more displaced, and displacement increases danger. Because when people are pushed farther from services, they miss support. When they are pushed into more isolated areas, predators find them easier. When they lose tents, blankets, phones, and IDs, they lose the few tools that help them survive and seek help. So the bargain economy persists because the alternatives are too few and too fragile. Now, let's talk about what breaks it. Because we cannot end with despair. Despair is another kind of power off. Part 6. How to break the bargain neighborhood. Real exits, not just removal. If you want fewer street bargains, you need fewer people living in emergency mode. That requires exits, not slogans, not what I'm charity, not shame. Exits. Here is what helps. First, housing as a foundation. Stable housing reduces vulnerability. It reduces exploitation. It restores choice. A door that locks changes the entire economy. When someone has a door, the price of survival drops dramatically. They can sleep, they can think, they can store medication, they can keep documents, they can show up to appointments, they can recover from sickness, they can plan. Housing is not just a roof. It is the platform that makes every other solution more likely to work. Second, low barrier shelter and safe spaces, especially at night, especially in winter. Safe, accessible options reduce the price of survival. When someone can sleep indoors without being punished for being traumatized, they are less likely to accept dangerous bargains. When someone can use a bathroom without fear, they are less likely to be forced into humiliating situations. When someone can rest, they are less likely to make risky decisions just to stay awake. Third, accessible health care and treatment. Treatment needs to be connected to housing support. Care needs to be consistent. Care needs to understand that relapse can be part of the recovery process, not proof someone is hopeless. Care that doesn't collapse after one missed appointment. Care that treats pain, trauma, and mental health. Because for many people, addiction is not the first problem. It is a coping strategy for other pain. Fourth, harm reduction and consistent outreach. This is not approval. It is survival. Keeping people alive keeps the possibility of recovery alive. Outreach teams who show up consistently build trust. Trust is how people accept help. One sandwich is good, but the real power is consistency. Consistency says, you are still worth helping even when you slip. Fifth, basic services that reduce chaos. Bathrooms, showers, laundry, storage, phone charging. These sound small until you realize they change daily life. A safe place to store documents can be the difference between applying for housing and losing everything. A place to charge a phone can be the difference between making a clinic appointment and being unreachable. A shower can be the difference between dignity and dehumanization. These services reduce desperation, and desperation is what fuels risky bargains. Now, what can you do? Here are actions that matter, and they are simpler than you think. Stop dehumanizing language, because dehumanizing language makes exploitation easier. When the public calls people zombies or junkies, it trains society to accept harm as normal. It tells predators no one will care. Support local outreach and housing organizations monthly if possible, because consistency builds exits. Donate winter necessities and hygiene supplies, socks, gloves, thermal layers, hand warmers, menstrual products, basic first aid. Advocate locally. City policy shapes street reality. Where funding goes, help goes, and share content ethically. No humiliating clips, no filming faces for shock, no turning suffering into entertainment. If you are in the US and need immediate mental health support, call or text 988 for treatment referrals. SAMHSAS helpline is 1-800-66-HELP 4357. If someone is in immediate danger, call emergency services. This channel is not medical advice. It's a Lenza reminder to see people clearly. Now, let's close with the core message. A bargain neighborhood is not a moral failure of individuals. It is a structural failure. When survival needs are scarce, people will pay anything to meet them. The question is not, why do they make these deals? The question is, why are these deals the only doors left? And that brings us to the outro. Outro meaningful plus call to action plus empathy. If you watch to the end, thank you for staying with a hard truth, because the easiest way to talk about Kensington is to point at substances and stop there. But when you look closer, you see an economy built on scarcity, an economy built on urgency, an economy built on human need. And the people living inside that economy are not headlines. They are human beings. People who deserve safety that doesn't come with a price tag. People who deserve a bed without bargaining. People who deserve treatment without waiting months. People who deserve a world where survival does not require negotiation with predators. If you feel anger after this episode, that's understandable. But aim the anger correctly. Not at the person trapped in emergency mode. Not at the person doing whatever they can to survive. Aim it at the conditions that made the bargain neighborhood possible. A society where housing is out of reach for too many. A system where treatment is fragmented. A reality where basic survival needs are rationed. A culture that chooses shame over solutions. On Homeless Lens, we don't chase shock. We chase understanding. Because understanding creates pressure. Pressure creates policy. Policy creates funding. Funding creates services. Services create exits. So here's your call to action. Share this episode with someone who only sees stereotypes. Leave one comment with empathy, not cruelty. Subscribe to Homeless Lens for stories told with dignity. And if you can, support local housing and outreach organizations monthly if possible, because consistent support builds exits. Because the goal isn't to hide the problem, it's to solve it, to create a city where no one has to trade safety for survival. This is Homeless Lens. See people, not problems, and I'll see you in the next one.